Okay, everybody, this is Craig Doman, your host of Pro Mindset Podcast. And tonight we have on Pro Mindset a young man who was a Big Ten starting safety for the University of Iowa, was drafted in the 7th round in 2012 by the Washington Redskins, had some unfortunate injuries, had some tours of duty with some other teams in the league, and now he is a performance coach and trainer in Colorado Springs, my hometown. He's getting my son ready for training camp this year. So I've had an opportunity to get to know Jordan, but it's Jordan Bernstine. Jordan, welcome to the show tonight.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on. I appreciate you guys taking the time.
All right, Jordan. So you work with a lot of athletes. You're still a phenomenal athlete. When people ask you your story, what is your story?
Well, my story is I'm a football player at heart. I'm a former football player and former safety for the University of Iowa, former draft pick for the Washington football team, who was playing at a very high level, was a very good athlete, and had some unfortunate turn of events, and being able to turn those unfortunate events into positives is what I've been able to do with my business at Ground Up Sports Performance nowadays. So that's kind of the short version. But for me, I was a 4.3 40 player since I was 16 years old. I've jumped a 40+ inch vertical since I was in high school. I have the highest vertical jump in school history at Iowa, so I was a really good athlete. And while playing in the NFL with the Redskins, went from being the best athlete on the field to tearing my ACL, MCL, PCL, and patellar tendon. So went from doing all of those things, loving football, being able to play at the highest level, to having all of those things removed fast. Kind of like the stories that you hear from that standpoint. Got an opportunity to play in the NFL, and early my rookie year tore all of that and had to kind of handle those adversities to get to where I am today, which essentially was rehabbing, and more rehabbing to get back on the football field after that major career-ending injury. And while doing that, developed a passion for helping other athletes and helping them achieve those goals. And that's what I get to do every day now.
Okay, Jordan. So let's go back to 2012.
Ooh, okay.
You had about a 3-month period. Late April, early May, you got your name called and you were drafted, which is phenomenal. I mean, there's just 250 guys that get to do that every year.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the final cuts happened, you made the team. Not
Yep.
many 7th rounders make the team. Only like 33% of the 7th rounders actually make it.
Yeah. Statistics. I like it.
Yes. And you are one of like 10 guys in the NFL history that have played in one game.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Oh, it's
I've
amazing.
had to do that.
So
It's
the way the NFL works is the average career length for an NFL player is somewhere between 3 and 4 regular season games.
mm-hmm.
Because guys can make the team and not dress. Guys can make the team and be on the practice squad. Guys can, they could be lifers on the practice squad.
Yep.
And they never really play in the game. You're in the game from the jump. And in your first game, I don't know if people understand, they understand the ACL, but I don't know if they understand that patella tendon. When you got that double whammy, patella tendon is a very difficult injury to come back from. And so you got, I don't know how that recovery went, but it had to be like a wake up call or a smack in the face, because you just went from getting drafted, making the team, got your family, you're excited, you're gonna make some money.
Yeah.
And then you're on IR going to the doc and getting surgery and living in the medical room.
Yeah. Yes. Well, since we're going back to that time, let's see. It was a very weird time frame. From that standpoint, like you said, got drafted late round, made the team. I kind of knew I was going to make the team. I was very confident. I was making plays. I knew I was supposed to be there. From a football standpoint, made the team, got to play early, and that time frame was just crazy. From a standpoint of all the games I got to play early in the preseason and all these things, I showed them why I was supposed to be there. led the team in tackles all the games I got to play. Last time I checked. And then from there, make the team. I'm ready to go. Week 1, like you said, we fly down to New Orleans, playing the Saints. I'm running down, ready to tackle Darren Sproles on kickoff. And yes, just a freak accident. No weird steps or anything. It was engaged with the guy. Two guys fall into the back of me, kind of rolled up on, and yeah, just very unfortunate injury, very unfortunate timing. And from a statistical standpoint, I didn't know it was that outlandish of only that many people in one game until ESPN called me and I did a story here. I think it was a year or two ago about something along those lines. So yes, it's crazy, man. It's a part of the story, part of the journey.
It is part of the journey. How did you take a hit on your identity when you were going through that convalescence, going through the surgery and the rehab? And I know what happens when you got hurt and you're flying back to Washington. You were effectively off the team.
Hmm.
They forgot about you because they knew they couldn't go to war with you next week. So the coaches don't talk to you as much. You're hanging out with the trainers, you're dealing with the team docs, you're trying to figure this all out, and the team is just keep on rolling. And anybody else that gets hurt early in the season, they do the same thing. It wasn't anything specific to you. It was just your circumstances.
Yep.
How did you handle keeping your head in the game, staying positive so that you could recover and give yourself the best opportunity to come back?
How I handled that was I've always rehabbed and I've always had injuries. I had a bunch of injuries in college, like an ankle, shoulder surgeries, things like that. With that, I always came back faster, stronger, and better, essentially, like after committing to that process. So the process was nothing new to me, even being told, shoot, I remember flying back from DC, um, or from New Orleans that night to DC. Went straight to the hospital. I didn't go home. And I stayed in the hospital that night. The next morning, played my first NFL game on Sunday. All right. The next morning, on Monday morning, the first conversation I had was from the doc, and it was that conversation of ACL, MCL, PCL, patellar tendon, and it was just shocking. My response was, "What's the recovery time?" And I remember him chuckling just like that, like, "What?" And it was just like, "What's the recovery time?" And he's like, "Recovery time? I don't even think you'll be able to walk or jog without a limp. I'm just trying to get you to sit and stand. You're thinking about football? Like, matter of fact, can you feel this? If not, then we may have to amputate from the knee down.
Wow.
If you have nerve damage here in your foot, like it's crazy when I start thinking back to it, just the conversations and things like that. And even after that conversation, my mindset was still like, yeah, right, I'll be back. So it was just such a long process. I rehabbed with the team for a full year, with the training staff. We did an amazing job. But with that, uh, coaches that you were talking about, it was actually very weird because Coach Shanahan didn't just cut me off, or the coach, or Coach Morris, Raheem. I love him too. But these guys didn't kind of cut me off. It was more like, dang, why'd you have to get hurt, Bernstein? You'd have been starting by now. You'd have been, we needed you at this point in the season, that kind of thing, by week 5, week 6, that kind of things. Uh, it was more encouraging me, trying to bring me along and keep me kind of mentally focused more than anything, I think. So I was with the team for a full year up until my second season, and this process was long. It was not an ACL injury where you're back getting range of motion the next day. I couldn't bend my leg for 3 months, I believe, straight, like a tree trunk when I took off the brace. Bend your leg. There was no bending. Like,
Yeah, that
so
patella
even,
tendon was a serious deal.
so just getting it back to 90 and getting stuck there for a long period and then fighting to just get the heel closer to the butt from range of motion and then finally getting back, balancing, and I had to reteach myself to walk. which is crazy now because I'm back doing everything today. But yes, when you say let's rewind back to 2012, that was a crazy period. All right. But yes, it was a long period. I rehabbed for actually that whole next up until the next season, and then I was released. It would have been my sophomore football season in the NFL. And when they released me, that was when I moved to Colorado. Uh, moved to Colorado and just kept rehabbing. Just put my head down for a whole nother year. Just rehabbing 2-a-days, no anything. I just call it like Bane mode, dark mode. Just what are you doing? Getting back ready. And then finally got it back to that point of back running fast, back doing all the stuff the doc said I couldn't do. Uh, yeah, that would have been my third season. Finally back ready, guys. Get back working out for teams. You're looking fast. Give it a little more time. You still see you favoring it a little bit. You're still favoring it. Maybe we'll call you in the playoffs. While going through that process or circuit, I actually retore my ACL. All right. It was not 100%. It was
Oh my gosh.
94%. And my 94 was, let's do it. So I re-injured it again after that. 2 years post that career-ending injury, and then go through that process again. And around that time was when I started having other athletes that I started helping. But yes, when I say I was a football player, like it's blinders. I wasn't thinking about anything else. It was football. I like to hunt people.
No, you're a fabulous athlete. Let me ask you a question. If I'm not mistaken, you have twin daughters that are 7
Yes.
that may dabble in sports at some point in time because of just genetics. They're going to go out. They're going to go out in the 7th grade and run some 400 and whip everybody. They're going to go, "Hey, Dad, I think I'm pretty good at this." And you're like, "Yeah, I could have told you that a long time ago." But it's like, what can you carry with you today that's going to pay dividends from what can you carry and learn from your experience in 12 and 13 and 14 that as a top of mind that you're going to instill in your daughters and you share with your athletes that you train when they're dealing with some small adversity? What's the wisdom you pull out of your pocket and say, "Hey guys, I've been down this road"?
Well, with that question, there's a lot of different things we pull out depending on kind of the situation. But at the end of the day, it's always being able to teach our athletes how to win, teach our athletes how to lose, and teach them that the road to where they're trying to go is not linear. All right. It's not linear the way that they think it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of adversities, whatever those are, and then being able to teach them how to overcome them and keep going. That's something that I always say is just being able to keep going. Post it on all my boys and girls and athletes pictures. Keep going. But it's our athletes that know us, our G up athletes. What they understand about that is that process is what's built on. It's not the end goal. It's not, the all state that they're getting when they're seniors in high school or the scholarship offers that our athletes get. It's me remembering when they were a freshman in high school and didn't have their confidence because of whatever it may be, an injury or a coach that they didn't like, or them not starting at the time. It's being able to get our athletes to understand how to overcome the adversities versus run from it and transfer to different teams and do these type of things. Is being able to understand from those stories and um, those circumstances that I've been through. I get to teach them to keep going. You'll be able to get through it and you can still get to the goal that you're trying to achieve.
Jordan, can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can.
Okay, I lost you there for a second. Okay, your football, almost everybody's ending in football is a train wreck. Not everybody's got all these crazy knee injuries you've had, but
Hmm.
they all end in a train wreck. Very few people get to, get a get a convertible or a motorcycle and have a parade and a press conference. Very few people get to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And even less get to decide when they get to quit. So
Absolutely.
everybody that plays at the NFL level, their career ends before they want it to end.
Yeah,
It never
absolutely.
goes. I mean, it's like I can't tell you how many guys, they're like, they might get cut in training camp. Like, man, I didn't know last year, and last game was going to be my last game.
And even the guys that are playing for a long time still don't want it to be their last game most of the time, and it's a tough transition. And if that's what you were leaning towards from that standpoint, it's like that transition is difficult, and you have to be able to kind of, like the word you used earlier, identity. You have to be able to find an identity that's not tied to football. All right. So when we started this, I said I was a football player, but even from a verbiage standpoint, I was a football player. All right. So now I've been able to kind of separate the two and find out who I am other than just Jordan, the football player, which is who I have known since, forever, even post football for the longest time. So now being able to find something that I love with ground up sports performance, being able to train athletes and help athletes and stay around the game and stay around sports has just been the most amazing thing for me in my life. It's been a very natural transition and it was not planned. Like I said, I was a football player. I didn't think about anything else. So when it was, well, even after the injury, what else are you going to do? Play football. Like that was my response after a career-ending knee injury. All right. And that went from me rehabbing and putting in those consistent hours to, hey, head coach, I'm a safety going to Oregon State. I know you through so and so. Can I come train with you? I see you up here every day. Yeah, I'm in here. Come on. And then it's another DB going to Wisconsin. Hey, yeah, come on. I'm still doing every drill first. Back pedal, break, break. And then when they go, it's like, hey, get lower. Hey, don't do this. Hey, I was coached and told to do it this way. And then I just started noticing what that can create because it was so many aha moments of like, oh, I've never heard that. Well, I've never heard that. And it got to the point where it was like, I have all of these things inside of me from football and my love of football, like that they have just never heard. How can I like get them to hear these things before college? Because that's when I heard most of it before they're juniors or seniors in college, before they're applying it. Like if I can help you apply it in the eighth, ninth grade, shoot, you're on a better, faster track than I was, in my opinion, from an understanding. So that's kind of what I get to do every day. I really love doing it, and I've been able to kind of transition that same passion that I had for football and that same clap, clap, fired up after a tackle to being able to give that same energy every day. I'm in there jumping around, yelling at athletes or yelling with athletes is a better way to put it. Just I get to have that same energy, use that same knowledge, and help others get better. Now we've been able to make a business out of it, and now I'm having more fun with the business side.
Every organization, especially in sports, has their like foundational principles. What is ground ups? What do you guys stand for? What are the life lessons and the standards that, if a parent is looking for a trainer in this community and they look you up or they visit you, call with, have a consultation with you, what are you going to share with them that their son or daughter is going to get?
Well, they're going to get something that's different than just cone drills. Instead, we get to develop humans, develop young men, develop young women, and being able to use sports as a facility, as a vehicle for that. Yes, we get to do all the drills and have fun and helping athletes get better. But at the end of the day, we get to teach them I'm kind of talking to these athletes as they're getting older, like young fathers, like young men, being able to understand things that they're going to do on and off the field. Shoot, I'm talking to them about things that people didn't talk to me about, which was just football. Instead, we're talking about what other things they like, other businesses. I'm interested in those interactions with all of our athletes. So we get to really get to know our athletes, get them to build and buy into the program and the process. And then it's easy from there. They're coming in. We don't have to pull anybody's arm to show up at ground up.
Okay, let's go back to college and pro. And you
Yes,
can't
sir.
pick yourself.
And you can't pick what?
You can't pick yourself.
Okay.
Who's the guy that you admired that you played with as a teammate, and what characteristics did he have that maybe you didn't have or you didn't have as much as he had that you want to share with the athletes that you train?
Let's see. If we're, well, it's so many athletes that come to mind. I've played with so many guys that have just been high level. It's kind of like pick a position. But I'll stay on the defensive side. I'll stay in the secondary. Let's see. Guys that I played with would have been Micah Hyde. All right. Micah Hyde is a player who, shoot, with the Buffalo Bills, was watching him this past season, making plays. And shoot, he's a player who's been fighting a lot of adversity himself later in his career. That's a guy who I just really admired his grit and ball skills, I guess is the best way to put it. I was faster than Micah. I could jump higher than Micah, all these fun things. But that was a guy who was just a football player. And I've seen him make plays that were just unbelievable. One hand, back flip, interceptions, all these fun things that I'm like, dude, I like to hit people. I love the contact part of football, but that is a play, man, and it really made me do that more than most in the secondary is the best way to put it. So one of the best guys I played with in the secondary would be Micah off the top of my head from a guy that just made me go and kind of made guys stand up out of their seat a little bit.
Okay, now let's switch to coaches.
Hmm.
Pick a coach and what he stood for that if you're ever, you are a coach, but if you
Hmm.
ever coach a team on the field, you want to make sure and add his philosophy, his principles, and put it in your toolbox and take it to your work,
Great. And that could be any level.
any level.
Let's see. I've had a lot of coaches, and that still goes back to Coach Mihalovich, my high school coach. He's still one of the best coaches I've ever had from a standpoint of being able to build buy-in, being able to get other people to believe that they can do things. And he's the coach that can make you just give you that feeling of just ready to run through a wall for him is kind of in football terms the best way to put it. But he was a guy who could just, the way that he would word things, the way that he could psychologically flip your switches, but also be empathetic in a way when you are going through things to understand, but also be able to push you to get through those things. And that's something that I love being able to do every day. And shoot, especially when it's necessary, when our athletes are going through different things and feeling different emotions, and I can kind of sense those things. That's when I really pull out my inner Coach Mihalovich and start giving these speeches or rants, as I like to call them. And I get really fired up when doing it. It's really passionate, and it really gets the athletes leaving out of the gym feeling like, shoot, why not me? I can go do this. And at least that's what their parents usually text me, or they text me the next day.
That's awesome. Okay, let's go back to the under 10, Jordan.
Okay.
When did you start dreaming about playing in the NFL?
Ah,
When was football
I,
your thing?
I love it. Well, we're going under 10. We gonna have to go a little longer or a little later. I started playing football at the age of 9. Before that, I was just riding bikes, playing tag, doing kids stuff as kids should do. And I still preach for our young athletes to do. But I started playing football at the age of 9, and did not start the way you think. It was really fast, always, but did not like contact. It was running to you and and take the hit. That changed me when I was playing with my cousins who were more physical. It was three of us. The other two were linebackers and D linemen. Like they liked contact. And I remember after the end of that first season, I was picking up on things slowly, like any first year football player, which is why I try to give guys grace and get them to understand like it's hard. It takes time. So from there, I just remember after that first season, getting put in the backyard between cones, and I just have to get up grinder style, run through the cones, and I was just taking the hits, taking these hits all day. I remember getting angry about it, crying, getting up water boy style, as I like to call it, running over my cousin full speed without slowing up and going, hey, that didn't hurt. Maybe I should do that every time. And from that, like instant, that hit on, I've been a tackler or hitter or I've liked contact. This next season, I was our middle linebacker, I believe, and then I was linebacker from there and kind of being able to have that type of potential. But it was about the seventh grade for me. I realized that, oh, I'm really good at this. I like this a lot. I want to play in the NFL, and I think I can if I just do all the things necessary along the way. So that was kind of how my mind processed it and kind of started that journey in seventh grade. Seventh grade on, it was the goal of get to the NFL, not doing what other friends are doing. I'm skipping parties, doing that kind of thing. I'm doing 25 push-ups after every video game of Madden just to try to get closer to that goal is the way my mind started to put it. But yes, it took some time. Uh, I had the potential and people started rumbling about that once I ran a 4.3 when I was like 15 or 16. Like,
That's
wait a
insane.
minute. Wait a second. We can teach him some other stuff. Yes, he can do some things.
Wow. Well, here's what I want to do, Jordan, is I want you to share with the parents out there that are wanting to groom their kids to be participants in sports, and maybe their kids have dreams like you had, and, and maybe they want to play in the NFL or they want to play in the MLS or they want to play in the NBA or whatever sport it might be. What is your message to parents about what you do and what you recommend they do? Because sometimes you can do great things and they can work against you because they're putting too much pressure on their kids, seeing their kids more as an athlete than they are a person. And then from your standpoint, what are they going to get from ground up? What is ground up about? It's got to be more. Obviously, it's training, but it's more than training.
Absolutely. The kids get to learn the process at ground up and commit to that process. And again, that process is what gets you that end goal, not just being able to think about it and think that I'm just going to get there by showing up. And at ground up, that's what we get to do is teach that process, help our athletes along wherever they are at in their journey, whether that's in the seventh grade, teaching them what it is going to take to be ready for high school and then being able to raise their standards to the next level from that standpoint. The same thing with our college athletes. So from there, our parents are going to get commitment and get buy-in. Our athletes learn to commit to the process. They have fun doing so. And that is it has just brought us amazing results and helped us get countless athletes to the next level of playing college football that came in the ground up in seventh, eighth grade.
Okay, so that's what they're getting. They're getting commitment and buy-in. But what is your recommendation for parents to do the best job they can so that they can not put pressure on their kids?
To not put pressure on your kids, I would say you have to just give them grace, understanding. Like I tell our kids and our parents, the parents are always going to be there for our kids. Don't feel pressured. Don't look over at your parents every time you mess up a rep, every time you make an error. Like your mom and dad are going to be there for the good reps. When you score 5 touchdowns, they're going to be there for the bad reps. When you miss 10 tackles. All right. So they don't care either way. They're going to give you a hug and love you after that from that standpoint. So for the athletes, it's understanding that, and then being able to just feel free to make those errors, feel free to make that progress in the presence of the parents. And for the parents, don't be so hard on the kids. Give them the ability to grow. Like I said, when I first was playing football, it was not pretty. But that process can be very pretty if you allow them the time to mess things up and then get better. All right. So for the parents, don't be so hard on the kids, but give them grace and let them grow. All right. They will get better and get to that point when it's come to that time. I've seen athletes who look like they're going to be in the NFL in seventh grade. I've seen athletes who don't look like they're going to be anything, and then out of nowhere, their senior year of high school, they're Division I athletes and some of the best athletes in the state for us now. So again, that all happens at a different time frame. You got to let the athletes run their race.
Amen to that. Okay, Jordan, where can people find you? What's the where can they find you on social media? What's your website address? All that type of stuff.
I'm very easy to find. Again, my name is Jordan Bernstine. You can find me on any social media as that name or Jay Bernstein, or anything Ground Up Sports Performance. GroundUpSportsPerformance.com is our website. Anytime you search there, you get all contact information, address, all information about our bookings, our services, and anything else Ground Up. Everything is on GroundUpSportsPerformance.com. Contact us. I am the athlete in there. Me and my partner, Mike Bolio, it is the two of us coaching at a very high level every day. We are here to help. And anytime you need help getting the athletes in the get to the next level and learn that process.
Jordan, I want to thank you for being on Pro Mindset, my man.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, it's Craig Doman, the host of Pro Mindset Podcast. I want to thank you for listening or watching today's show. And you can catch us every week on the normal social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the listening podcast platforms. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And more importantly, I hope you gained a pro mindset insight. Please be sure to rate and review Pro Mindset Podcast. And I look forward to catching up with you on our next show.